and dark weather. I'm very proud to announce our guest lecturer, Vincent De Groote. He is CEO of Marvin Media. And Marvin Media is a company that publishes its own hospitality magazine, Venues, probably known amongst you. And they also organize several hospitality events and awards, award shows. But I'll let him do all the talking. That's why he came here. Vincent, they're all yours.
Thank you. Good evening. When Annelies sent me a little email a couple of months ago, I didn't expect that many people, to be honest. So, forgive me, I'm a bit nervous. It's the first time that I'm going to speak to such a large amount of people. As Annelies introduced, I'm Vincent. I'm 42 years old. I've started Marvin Media, a company that runs the brand Venues, 5 years ago, and in a couple of days we will be celebrating our 5th anniversary. What can you expect today? The importance of Venues magazine in the Belgian hospitality industry. We will do a little time travel. We will look at some inspiring places. And last but not least, I will be talking about how to improve consumer experience within hospitality. But with no further ado, introduction. Venues is a 360 degrees inspiration platform. That means that we have an offline side and an online side. Online, I don't have to explain you guys how important that online is become in our society. So we have a website, we have a very busy social media strategy, we have mobile apps, and we have a Venues smartphone app. On the other hand, we have offline stuff. The magazine, as Annelies told you, I've got a couple of exemplars here. You can have a look later on. We publish books, we organize the Benelux Bar Show, and we celebrate entrepreneurship the 8th of December this year with the Belgian Hospitality Awards. Our core people, or our core target audience, is top and top mid segment of hospitality, horeca, as you know it. We aim at architects and designers. We generally speak to the hospitality industry, also the guys at the brand sides, the Bacardis, the Coca-Colas, the Carlsbergs, the Jupiters, you name it. And last but not least, we try to inspire opinion leaders. We have the magazine, which looks like this. We publish books, and we organize a little event. Our next show will be the 30th and the 31st of March in Antwerp. And as I said, December 8th, we will host the 2nd edition of the Belgian Hospitality Awards. Hospitality Awards is a very part of our concept because we celebrate entrepreneurship. But before I would like to proceed, I would like to hear from you guys. What is hospitality? Just shout me some names, some words. What is hospitality for you guys? Come on. Don't make me point people. Is it drinks? Is it food? Is it sleeping in a hotel?
For example, a hospitality writer of an artist.
Yes, why not? Other examples? Come on guys, it's 7:15. You're not tired yet? What do you do on Saturday evening? Come on, shout it out. Party. Yes. What do you do on a Sunday morning? Slapen. Yeah. Of course. What do you do around noon? You go for breakfast or you go for a brunch? What do you do during your holidays? Hangover. Of course. Stupid questions. Going on a trip, going on a city trip, that's hospitality. But first, my opinion about hospitality is genius is giving guests what they never knew they wanted. Daar draait het allemaal om. This is what it's all about. If you're in the hospitality business, giving people they never knew they wanted. But first, let's take a little time travel. I will be talking about the evolution of hospitality. In the 90s, most of you guys are born? 90s? Okay. In the 90s, we had the introduction. I'm from the 70s. In my time, there were no exotic kitchens, no Thais, no Indian, no Japanese, no sushi. But in the 90s, people started eating exotic stuff. Consumer try and appreciate new flavors. Also in the 90s, we find this guy. I'm sure no one of you knows the guy. This is Michel Montignac. He had one big thing. You eat, or you are what you eat. Dus je bent wie je eet, of wat je eet. And people started to go to think about the things they eat. All of a sudden it had to be healthy. So we saw a lot of new concepts. Also in the 90s, fast food. We don't have any time anymore, so we needed to eat quickly. So McDonald's. But in the 90s contains all the ingredients for the launch of the real hospitality culture. And very often, those influences came from abroad. United States, UK, Holland, France, Italy, Spain, you name it. In the Nillies was really the period where hospitality grew. British television, we all know the guy. Who's the guy? Jamie Oliver. He was the Jeroen Meus avant la garde. Nobody heard from Jeroen Meus before this guy was on the telly. Consumers are really enthusiastic about his show, and all of a sudden everybody wants to start cooking. And they learn it from the telly. So that means that once they go at the restaurant, they are more critical. But not until this moment. Who's this? Yes. All of a sudden people start talking about this concept. VTM launches main restaurant. And all of a sudden everybody knows the word cuisson. My meat is not that good. The cuisson is not that good. Before this program, nobody heard about cuisson. And all of a sudden, the consumer rushes on quality restaurants. And they decide for themselves they're all criticals. They all are restaurant critics. So in the Nillies, the growth of the hospitality really got into a speedy process. But all of a sudden, smoking is banned from bars and restaurants. You're not allowed to smoke anymore. When I was your age, we were allowed to smoke in bars and restaurants. So people start to smoke on the doorstep. And all of a sudden we have a new phenomenon. People start smirting. You know what smirting is? It's smoking and flirting together on the doorstep. And then, all of a sudden, we have a bank crisis. We have a financial crisis. We come to the conclusion that people stop visiting restaurants, or less often. But they keep spending. So they consume less, but they spend more. And that's the trend that we are seeing today. People are going less to hospitality, but spending more money. A little story. When my parents were about my age, they drank gin and tonic. Sounds familiar? At that time, they paid 180 franc. 180 franc. So now, people are paying between 8.5 and 14 euros for a gin and tonic. Basically, it's the same product. That means that people are now looking for experiences. The days that my parents drank gin and tonic, it was just Gordon's gin with an ordinary tonic and a slice of lemon in it. Now you have very fancy glasses, a special gin and a special tonic, and some loads of stuff they put into your glass. And all of a sudden now they can ask 12 euros for a gin and tonic. That's hospitality. In the Netherlands, the technical revolution took place. Consumers get access to new tools. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the iPod, smartphone, iPads. So information is accessible at any minute of the day. So people can discover new restaurants, new bars, new clubs at their palm of their hand. So during the Netherlands, hospitality culture took off, really good, by television and by turbulence. In the 10s, hospitality really flourishes. We see new concepts arising. Speakeasy bars, pop-up, bistronomy, and last year's espresso bars. You know what a speakeasy is? Anyone? A speakeasy bar is a bar that originates from the US during the drooglegging, I don't know the English word. Prohibition, thank you. Prohibition, and in the Prohibition period in the US, they were not allowed to sell any alcohol. They were allowed to sell alcohol, but they were not allowed to transport it. So smart people started to create bars in back rooms, and they had rules. And one of those rules was you needed to speak easy, which means you weren't allowed to raise your voice. That's the reason why speakeasy bars existed. Hospitality becomes a lifestyle through word of mouth, but also through word of mouse. Consumers share pics on their Facebook, on their Twitter, of what they eat, what they drink, and what they experience. Going to a hospitality business has become a social status. That means that if you put a picture on Facebook and saying, "Hi, I'm at this place," or "I'm at this place," your friends see that and your social status gets higher. Hospitality and retail, they start to blend in a sort of a liquid way. Who knows wasbar? What is wasbar? It's your washing saloon, where you can have a coffee. So we'll see those concepts a lot more in the future. And so we have a consumer mix on offline and online. E-commerce rules. We see new ways of entrepreneurship. Clustering, upselling, transparency, you name it. And where it used to be the owner, the bar owner, the restaurant owner that defined the trends, we see that it's now the consumer that's defining the trends. And if you want to have a successful hospitality business which is future-proof, listen to your customers, otherwise you will run out of business. So in the tennis, hospitality grows, flourishes, but mainly creates new experiences. And those experiences can be experienced in a couple of places I selected. Spirito Brussels is a ultimate club experience. Who's been to Spirito? It's an old church which is transformed into a club. Who knows the song God is a DJ? You all know it. Well, there you experience it live. The DJ plays music on the altar. Explain. David Guetta organizes a press conference there. The Red Devils celebrated their qualification for Brazil. And customers go there because they want to associate themselves with celebrities. Very stylish, very high-end. Amsterdam. Who hasn't been to Amsterdam? This is a place which is called the Grootfazant. This is a real unique restaurant concept. It used to be a sweatshop, a car repair shop. So it's of, who knows Amsterdam? You have A, which is on the other side of Amsterdam. You need to take a boat to get there, or you have to drive 20 minutes to get there. And they serve dinner in an old car repair shop. And it looks like this. Very industrial, very basic, but the food they serve you and the politeness of people that are serving that food to you is amazing. Investment, zero. The only thing they did was buy a lot of chairs and a lot of tables and install a very good kitchen. For the rest, they kept it like this. Who has heard about Summer Josephine's in Antwerp? Josephine's is a restaurant slash cocktail bar in Antwerp, not far from het Zuid. And they don't have a terrace. In summer, they practically run out of business. People want to be outside. Casper Stewart, he's a Dutch guy who's been living in Antwerp for 20 years. Said to his crew, would you guys like to have a busy summer? So he collaborated with the Brouwerij de Koning in an old factory on the yard, and he created a restaurant completely made out of pallets. So he moved the whole shebang from his restaurant to a temporary pop-up thing, and he served between 150 and 250 people a day. This is entrepreneurship. This is hospitality. Instead of sitting around in summer and not having any business, he moved his whole thing to a new location and served people in a way they were used to getting served from Josephine's. Urban style. This is the Josephine's regular in winter. This is how it looks. And this is how it looked in the brewery. Then one of my favorites. Who has heard about Ace Hotel? No one? Ace Hotel is a international global group that started in the US. They opened their first first hotel 7 years ago in New York, Manhattan. And they started the trend of creating hotels where you had the feeling that you were at home. If you go to a hotel, what's the sentiment you get? The first time you go into a hotel room, what's the sentiment you get? Wow or awe? Because it always looks better on the internet, no? If you book a hotel, it always looks better on the internet. The room is bigger, the beds are better. So these guys, they said, well, if you travel and you come to one of our hotels, they have 7 now. We want our guests to feel at home. So they created rooms in domestic environments. That means that, for instance, the hotel, Ace Hotel in New York, they bought a building, and the building was occupied with 40% still being occupied by tenants. So what did they say to the tenants? You can stay here. We'll raise your fee per month with 10%, but you can use all our facilities. You can get your laundry done. You can call for room service. You can meet your friends in the lobby. So that's the reason why this hotel chain has been very successful. They've done it around the world. They have one in New York, they have one in London now, they're looking for a location in Amsterdam, they're looking for a location in Berlin. So they want to expand this concept to more cities around the world. Palm Springs, London, Panama, downtown LA, Portland, New York, and Seattle. This is Ace Hotel. Then one from Belgium, which is in a really special category. Bar Marie in Mechelen is a company canteen. It's the canteen of Sanoma. You guys know the magazines from Sanoma? They created a hospitality-alike canteen where they designed and created an environment where people loved to stay in. Before they created this concept, they did a questionnaire amongst their co-workers. And the questionnaire, before they had this concept, revealed that 95% of the people working there went out by lunchtime. They created this concept, and 95% stays in to eat now. Which means that they can have meetings during lunchtime. They use it for brainstorms, stuff like that, and even people from around the campus where Sanoma is situated, people just walking from other companies. So they created a pretty special canteen. It looks like this. Imagine you would find this here. And then last but not least, Artesian Bar London, celebrated as the world's best cocktail bar 3 consecutive years in a row. Run by Alex Kratena, he's a Czech guy that's been living in London for the past 10 years. This is a hotel bar. Langham Hotel, very stiff, very conservative, but nevertheless he creates a he has created for himself a worldwide reputation, and they make amazing drinks. And they tell amazing stories. Artesian is now a bar team of 3 guys. As I said, Alex Kratena, Simon Caporali, and Roman Voltran. There are guys from all over the world, and they work amazing concepts. It's all about experience. A cocktail, you pay around 21 euros or 15 pounds. But if you have a drink there, it's a drink. I mean, it's an experience. The drink is perfect, but you can go home and tell your friends what you have experienced. That's what hospitality is about. This is the Artesian in Langham Hotel, and they make amazing drinks. But let's talk about consumer experience. How to create consumer experience within hospitality. 5 serious tips. Stop calling them clients. If you work in a hospitality business, the only difference between having people over is that at the end of the story or the end of the evening they pay your bill. So if you are active within hospitality, like many of you do, perhaps, treat them as of the fact that there would be guests at your home. And you will be amazed how big the tip will be at the end of the evening. So stop calling them clients, make them your guests, make them your ambassadors, and create a community. Reward them. Serve them the things they want, not the things you think they want. Very important theory by David Taylor. Grow the core before you add more. Little story about James Bond. Who doesn't know James Bond? Maybe not that guy. Sean Connery. That's from my age. But you certainly know this guy on the right. Look at the pictures below. In the 70s, he wore a suit. He drove an Aston Martin. He had a special watch. He had some special shoes. He wore a black tie. And in between this movie and this movie, it's 25 years. At one certain point, James Bond drove a BMW. What they experienced is that the James Bond movies were not that popular anymore. People couldn't recognize themselves within the theme of James Bond anymore. So with the introduction of Daniel Craig, they reinstated the core. So all of a sudden, he drives an Aston Martin again. He has maybe a different type of gun, but he has a smartphone. Same shoes, same time. So, grow the core before you add more. Step number 3, be a specialist. The new consumer adores craftsmanship. The new customer expects authenticity. If it's a fake story, especially with you young guys and girls, you detect when something is fake. So you guys go for the authentic, real deal. Who knows this guy? Anyone? Anyone? No? This is Hendrik Dierendomp. What does this guy do for a living? He's a butcher. He's a butcher from Kokzijde. And all of a sudden, craftsmanship becomes very, very important. I know the guy. I've seen him last night. He's like this. He's 1.65 m. But he talks like a real man. So all of a sudden, people start recognizing craftsmanship, authenticity, and start rediscovering those things. Tip number 4, practice storytelling. Don't sell a product. Don't just sell it. Talk about it. Preferably with passion. Know your craft so you can tell the story as it should be. And tell people that work with you. Tell about them. Be humble. You're only as strong as the weakest link. And last but not least, have fun. In everything you do, have fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. Let it go once in a while. This was my little exposé. Any questions?